At She Can, we tell women stories, how women got to where they are today, because it's so much easier to be what you can see. We aim to show what is possible, and I want to welcome Karen Cummings-Palmer today to She Can. Karen, welcome. You're a leading integrative health and nutrition coach, and you create bespoke wellness programs for private and corporate clients all over the world. And you're also the founder of 79 Looks, a skincare brand that you came up with. Tell us more in your own words what you do.
Oh, Stephanie, well, thank you for having me. Lovely to be with you. I guess, at the core of what I do is nutrition, right? It's about nourishing oneself. And that is with food, it's with thought, it's with movement, it's with topicals and with supplementation. My background was a little bit rock and roll. I worked in the entertainment industry. I ate out quite a lot. I was out quite late nights. I traveled a bit. And then I was also, but I was also always interested in my health and wellness. And I'd really struggled with very, very bad eczema as a child, and indeed as a young person, my teens and my early 20s. So wellness in a holistic, sustainable way was always central to my existence.
Karen, you come up with really successful programs for your private clients and your corporate clients. Tell us a little bit more about that. What is the journey when you take on a client? How does that work?
Well, people come and see me, and I always say it's not that I know any more than anybody else, frankly, working in any other specialists in the field. But what I am very good at is working within the context of somebody's life, right? So, I may be quite smart, but I'm not a magician. If somebody's traveling a lot, always getting on planes, there's no point me saying, well, stop doing that. It's about, this is your life. This is what is important to you. How can we fuel that? How can we, feed your body so that it really nourishes your passion and your purpose? So I work within the context of people's lives. I come up with, after, seeing them, if it's a private client, seeing them one-on-one, going through their health history, understanding how they live now, how they lived, 10 years ago, and what their goals are. I give them solutions that are attainable and therefore sustainable. And that is why they work. So I'm very realistic. I do a deal with my clients, right? I'm like, this has to be non-negotiable. Can we do this? And if it really is, if there's something about their life I don't understand, and they say, actually, I'm not going to be able to do this for X reason, I come up with something else. But we do a deal. They stick to the program because I make it easy for them. And then once people start seeing the change, they start feeling the change, and you're sort of crowding out, the not helpful stuff with the good stuff, then it becomes easier to stick to. And it really is about creating habits, healthy habits and rituals that last a lifetime. And then when I go in and see corporates, it's about understanding the corporate culture. How do we live? Are we an ad agency? Are we a fashion agency? What do we have to do most days? And how can we really incorporate wellness into our soft culture?
It sounds amazing, Karen. I mean, I want to sign up right now. So when I read up about you, I read that you're an age and weight management champion. So this is what you do so well. And then you design programs for people around nutrition and about their skin management. And it's sort of a whole package that's tailor-made to your clients. What is your main motivator when you work with a private or corporate client? What motivates you and drives you?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm driven by, the desire to support. It's just such a joy when you see people going through a change, and you see people that, I had one of my most recent clients, for example, just was sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night for a couple of years. And frankly, that's like torture, right? It happens to us all once a week or once a month, but when it's, 6 or 7 nights a week, It's really, really tough, debilitating. We made a few changes, and within 2 months, she was able to sleep an average of 6 or 7 hours every night. And it's life-changing for her. Everything is better, from her metabolism to her marriage. So that's hugely both motivating and rewarding. But the reason I decided to focus in on age management and indeed weight management, because whilst I have never been fat, I struggled a little bit with my weight. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I looked bad in skinny jeans. I just didn't feel great about my weight. And it was that sort of, and so many of my clients, particularly my female clients, it is not a huge amount of weight they need to lose. But because food and weight is so complicated for us, and so many of us have complicated relationships with food, it takes ages. And it took me indeed 10 years to lose that pesky 10 pounds that just helped me feel better and stronger and lighter and fitter. So I understand about tricky relationships with food, but also age management, because I had the great privilege and challenge of turning 40 while I was living and working in Los Angeles. And in the LA context, I was already very late to the age management game, right? So a lot of people were having Botox, like we might go and have our nails done in the UK. And I'm not judging. I'm not saying there is no place for it, but I decided that I wanted to tackle my own aging naturally and holistically. And I always say I am not neurotic, but I am vain, right? So it's like, not that I'm saying I don't care about it, but I just wanted to deal with it. I wanted to help myself age in a way that just allowed me to feel strong, to feel positive, and crucially, to recognize myself. Because I think so many women, it's not that they're so sad because they've got the odd fine line. It is the loss of their former selves. And I think that if you manage the process, you just become an older version of your younger self. And that is a joy. That is a privilege. So I decided to really see if I could focus and help people that also wanted to go through the aging process naturally and holistically.
Now, I love hearing all that because I've decided that. And then I sometimes look around me and think, wow, maybe I'm the only one. And that is somewhat a sort of scary position to be in. So, that you mentioned all of that. Give us the top tips, Karen. Give us the top tips for aging gracefully and naturally.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I sort of relate to the only one, and occasionally I sort of think, oh, and you see something and you think, oh, might be. But I've sort of committed to this path, and I've never had anything done invasively. I've never had an injection or anything like that. And that's just my path. But I think if you are going to do it naturally, you have to do more, right? I think actually just this morning's post was about, me with my LED mask and it's a layered approach. So I do a lot. I say that I'm like the highest maintenance, lowest maintenance person, right? So I think you have to take a layered approach. You have to think about nutrition, what you're eating every day. That's in a way the most fundamental part. And everyone's different and everyone has different needs, but certainly reducing refined sugar, excess sugar, which causes glycation, which is basically just shorthand for aging, right? So really reducing the refined sugar in your diet, reducing the amount of highly processed foods in your diet. A can of beans is processed. I'm not talking about that. I reach for cans and bottles and jars of beans all the time. I'm talking about highly processed, so more than 2 or 3 ingredients. So if you've got beans and water, you're good. Beans, water, salt, less good. Beans, water, salt, sugar, preservative, and so it goes on. So highly processed food, really avoiding that. And then making sure you're having enough protein in your diet. That doesn't have to be animal protein, but you want the amino acids, which really helps with cellular regeneration, which is, it's easier to find from flesh, right? It can be fish, it can be eggs, it can be small amounts of red meat. occasionally. Loads of greens. It's sort of eat food, mostly plant, right? Is the lots of greens on the plate, eat the rainbow, embrace herbs and adaptogens. So that's the sort of food side, and you know the list goes on, but that's the sort of basic food side. I do believe in supplementation. Yes, you can find everything you need from your food in theory. Very few of us do. If you live in a city, if you work, if you walk in the streets and you have pollution, if you don't grow and cook all your own food, you're not going to be getting the nutrients that you need for optimum health. And then I am a huge fan of collagen. No, it doesn't do everything. It doesn't know where the wrinkle is. It's not going to go bust it. It goes all throughout your body, and it helps with all of the age management stuff. So your joints, your bones, your skin, your hair, your nails. I also take additional supplements from vitamin C, which obviously helps with your immunity, but it also helps with your own collagen production. And I think about when, you know, I say that fine lines are not the enemy. Fine lines are just expressions of our humanity, but it's the sagging skin. It's when we lose the scaffolding, and that's the collagen and elastin. So keeping that up naturally as well as boosting that is really key. And then of course, you know, really good topical skincare, look for really good ingredients like squalene, hyaluronic acid, rosehip oil, vitamin C, marula, retinoids, using an SPF, and then tools. I've already mentioned tools that I love and I use them, and tools not in your cupboard, that tools you get out, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. I alternate between the LED mask and the zip, which is nano current technology, and I sometimes also use cryo sticks. So using tools, and even if you don't have tools, really using your own hands to not just put the skincare on, but really massage it in, are all going to be super helpful.
Amazing. Thank you so much for these amazing tips. Karen, so what top qualities do you think you have that make you so good at this job, that you do so successfully?
Well, thank you. I mean, I think that, you know, having empathy, you know, understanding. I feel like I'm pretty understanding, but I'm also straightforward, right? So I myself am, you know, far from perfect, right? So when you know what it is like to try and go down the path, to do your best, you know, I have a weakness for potato chips, salt and fat. So I have empathy. I understand. I've worked with, lived with, been around so many different types of people from so many different cultures. You know, living in LA, understanding that culture and embracing the wellness culture there, being a Londoner and sort of embracing individuality. So I think I just have a really good holistic view of people. I also I have access to the best, right? I have access to the best supplementation. Sometimes I you know, worked with brands. I of course have created my own skincare line, so which you know, I said that we wouldn't bring out anything unless it was best in category. So obviously I think it's exceptional. But most importantly is really getting to understand and work within the context of people's lives.
Karen, and what are you most proud of to date on your journey?
Gosh, I mean, you know, I mean, really, I think it has to be the things that touch me most are when I know I've really helped change people's lives for the better. I'm very proud of that. But you know, it's also wonderful to have a product out there in the world and to see it on shelves and to see people using it. I was at an event a few weeks ago, and I had 3 people. One was a friend, but 2 were people I hardly knew, got out the hand cream from their bags and used it. You know, those are proud moments. You know, we've had incredible endorsements from people like Tracy Ellis Ross and Trini Woodall, and you know, so there have been loads of moments that have punctuated my journey that I've been very proud of.
What role models have defined your life, Karen? The people that motivated you or inspired you to go further, to reach higher, to go for your purpose and your dream that you're living now.
I am lucky enough to be surrounded by incredible women. You know, I always say the best thing about me and my friends and family. Incredible women that are really inspiring. Inspiring and the sorts of people that for whom you could never shine too brightly. For whom you will always shine brightly enough, but you would never shine too brightly. They always want more for you. They always want to elevate you. And I know that's a very rare and precious thing, but I'm lucky to have a few of those people in my life. Um, Ultimately, my family who are incredible, and you know, people that have gone before in times far more trying, that have done incredible things.
Karen, and what are your goals, your things that are on your to-do list for the next couple of years? Where would you like to get to?
So, you know, more of the commentary, more of the sort of helping people reframe health and beauty. I think that, you know, who we think of as beauty, as beautiful is incredibly important. People think of, you know, this space often as being quite superficial. Um, I say when we think of our bodies as the wrapping of our soul, that everything feels different then. So I think one's health and self-care is not superficial. It doesn't have to be selfish, although it sometimes is. And I think reframing beauty, sort of elevating different groups, elevating different ages, having a conversation about what it is. For example, you know, I'm a woman in midlife, what that means. To your point earlier about sometimes you feel like you're the only one that has a forehead that moves, for example, you know, how how we're going to deal with this phase of our life and who we want to see on our TV screens, on our film sets, I think is a very important discussion. And I'm certainly really delighted to be a part of that and want to continue to move that forward. And then in terms of the brand, 79 Lux has had a lot of love. But it's still a very small brand. So just growing the audience, getting more people to know about it, speak about it, use it, like us, follow us on Instagram, and ultimately, you know, have the product being part of their lives, both nationally and internationally.
Karen, I'm really grateful that you told your story today for She Can, because you really put this age and weight management, that's a really contentious subject, I think, especially in this day and age. You're putting it in a beautiful package where it's all about your health and how that's really in our hands, because we can learn about it and we are in our power to change anything that's not working for us. And that really came across. So thank you so much for our conversation today.
Pleasure, Stephanie. Really nice to see you.